Going back and having a chance to rewind the tape and look at everything offensively, defensively, in the kicking game. Obviously, it's incredibly disappointing, frustrating to have played the way we did in that game. First half filled with a lot of opportunity to keep it a really competitive game going into halftime. I know we talked about that just after the game, and I look at certainly that game, and I look at the body of work as a whole on the season and where we're at. Just finishing that game, being halfway through the regular season, not playing winning football on offense, playing, giving ourselves a chance to win in special teams, and playing well on defense, really for the most part, to give us a chance to win every game. And so, obviously, looking, again, where are we falling short, on offense? What's the root of the different issues? And there's certainly a lot of different areas. I look back at this particular game, and obviously you go right to things that matter the most, things that impact the game. And we talked about it going into the game. Nothing impacts a game like turnovers, and certainly that was a factor in the first half. And then, running the football, being able to run it. I thought they're overall, they were more explosive than we were in running the football. But when you look at all the efficiency pieces of it, when we ran the football, we were actually a very efficient football team, but we weren't explosive. And that's a big difference. And I thought the explosive plays, the turnover were really a difference in the game. And our inability to create them on offense and sustain drives, and their ability to, create the explosive plays. They had a long drive to score first, I think maybe a 12-play drive, and then a 4-play drive created by explosives, and then a 1-play drive for a touchdown to make it 21-3. So again, looking back at, there's always good and bad in all of it. You got to find things that you can promote, whether that's effort or execution or physicality or creating plays on either side of the ball, doing the things that are necessary in order to win. And certainly, there's plenty of mistakes. And when you fail, that's the best opportunity to teach and you learn. And this was, a lot to learn from, to say the least. And but I think 8 of our 13 drives on offense, we did create some momentum early in the drives, and just not enough. And so you go back and you look at what was, and I think right now for several guys on offense, things are happening really fast. And again, in our 2 losses, we lost to the number 1 team in the country and maybe number 6 team in the country. So everything's going to happen even faster for them as new players. But the different issues, and I look at, okay, are we in a bad call based on what we're seeing on the other side of the ball? Do we give ourselves a chance to be successful by play design and what we're asking guys to do, whether that's protection or that's blocking or where we're trying to run the football or throw the football? I look at what are the opportunities that are actually there within the play, and what are we asking of guys? Is it too much or not? And so the opportunities, when you look at throwing the football, we had plenty of opportunities in the first drive of the game. After getting a first down, we're open, we're behind the defender, and we just overthrow it. We don't catch it in the end zone. We attacked vertically. And there's always pros and cons with that too. You want to try to stay on time and stay on schedule and stay ahead of the chains. And so when you take shots down the field, you like your matchup, you like your coverage, you like where you're at on the field. And but you got to live and die with that too. You don't connect, and then you're at 2nd and 10, but we had our opportunity there in the first drive and to do that, and we just misthrow it there in the end zone. And our second drive of the game again started off with another really efficient run, and and then we get we take a sack on second down. They got a blitz, and we can't do that. So. We've got to throw the ball away there and stay in, again, a manageable third down situation. And then our third drive, we get things going there, and we get 3 first downs. But we miss some opportunities within the drive. There's plenty of opportunities, but we got a slant route open on 3rd and 6. We got to hit him, and again, well-designed play, and it's going to be tight coverage. But we got to make those plays, and we had to settle for a field goal. And I could go down, every drive the same way. And there's times when, they make a good play on defense. They're in a good structure. There's times our pass pro isn't what it needs to be, and we give up some leakage, or we have some issues with route detail way too often. And the quarterback early in some of these drives, he's counting on the receiver to break back at 10 to 12 yards, and we're at 16. That's an issue. You're squeezing the ball, you're not in a rhythm, and you got missed throws and things of that nature. So, that also is an issue. Or again, some of the footwork on some of the runs, or where we're exactly we're going to run the ball, and some of the footwork early, and some of the the action needs to be cleaned up. So at the end of the day, we got to score touchdowns. We got to find ways to get the ball in the end zone, and we're not doing that right now, and that's a problem. And so there's fundamental issues. There's decision-making issues. We got to get it all cleaned up. None of it's any good. None of it's nobody wants to hear it. You got 6,000 excuses, and none of them are any good. But the opportunities aren't endless. And when we have the opportunities, again, that's what I look at. Are there opportunities there? And so we spent a good time of our meeting yesterday with the players and showing them, where, again, guys are wide open. The coverage is what we want. The opportunities are there. It's not always on the quarterback. Sometimes it's on the receiver, the tight end. Maybe it's some of the protection, but again, overall protection was solid on the day. And again, our pass pro, not talking about early down, quick game and play action things, but the overall pass pros got to still be better. Certainly there was a few drives with penalties, and those are always a killer. And whether they're false starts or holding penalties, we had a drive late that we had a couple of penalties, but most of the time they're hard to overcome, especially right now. But everyone's got to have ownership, starting again with the coaching staff. If the opportunities aren't there and it's dysfunctional and we're not scoring, that's a problem. If the opportunities are there, and there's several of them that are there, then we got to execute better. And this is a game of timing and precision and execution, and we got to get more precise. Obviously, for several guys, this is the second game, with Mike and the crew that he's got, the second game together, full game, and no excuses. We got to be better. And if you don't play well in the SEC, you're going to lose. And we got to play well and play well together, play well efficiently. And so got a lot of work to do, a lot of things that we have to get cleaned up, things to learn from. Again, the things that are that we're capable, and the things that we can control, that we can get better. Some of the decision making, do I keep it or do I run it? And there's several of those that aren't the same play. Several times we didn't make the right decision, and so we've got to keep it simple that way, and it was. And we got to make it simple. Don't overcomplicate it, and get out of our own way. And when we do, we'll be successful. So with that, I'll open it up.
Brent, we are at the midpoint of the season, and Seth did talk a little bit at the end of the game about putting players in better position to make plays and trying to get into that rhythm. you just described a lot of the things about execution and things like this, but is it concerning as a head coach that we are entering Game 7 and that the players aren't executing at a level where maybe you expected hitting the back end of the season? Is that, and Seth, to his credit, has taken accountability and accepting all responsibility, but is it concerning as a head coach that it isn't where you probably thought it would be entering the second half of the season?
Well, certainly. And your perspective is, you got a brand new quarterback in there too. And he just started his second game, and his first action was against the number 6 team in the country, and his second start, was against the number 1 team in the country. So they've got to have, perspective on all of it and not be quick to judge and have the eye for what it is. And again, as I go back, were the opportunities there? Are guys wide open? Yeah, several times wide open. Is the protection there when they're wide open? Yep, it sure was. Do we got to pull the trigger? Yeah, we do. And do we got to get better with our route detail? We do. And that's, there's a coaching piece to that. What you put on the field is a reflection of what you're coached. And then at the same time, we got to take what we practice, what we did right in practice, and we got to take it to game day. We can't lose our mind. And too often that happens as well. And all of it matters when you're talking about being efficient, creating explosive plays and things of that nature, getting everybody on the same page. And, it's incredibly concerning and disappointing and frustrating, all of it. And I do know, just again, as a coach, there's a fine line between being successful and not being successful on any particular given play, and a lot of moving parts that go into that. But at the end of the day, you either are or you aren't, and we haven't been enough. And that's incredibly frustrating, to say the least. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brent, I want to ask you something a little bit different. I don't know if you saw the end of the Ohio State-Oregon game with what Dan Lanning did on defense, throwing a 12th guy out there for a late play. As a defensive guy, what do you think about that? What do you think about the rule?
I think it's just a matter of time before they go back and change the rule. But it was good. I say it's good. From a defensive perspective, it's good.
And you ever had anything like that where you had an idea about a rule that maybe a lot of people didn't know about that you found a way to exploit defensively?
Not that I can recall. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Brent, a second ago you said you've got to take what you have in practice to the field.
Yeah.
When it comes to offense, what are you seeing? Are you seeing those explosive plays? Are you seeing those open receivers hit in practice and then it's not translating, or are there struggles in practice that are then magnified?
Well, there's always struggles in practice, but again, as far as connecting on deep balls and explosives, and it looked good in practice, yeah. And then there's time again. They're going. We do a lot of good on good as well, and it's always a mixed bag. And again, the defense has had a lot of success, and the offense has had success as well. And then again, there's a scout team piece of it, and what kind of look are you getting with the scout team? And my challenge always is to make. I'm coaching a scout team, the defensive scout team that's giving the offense a look. I'm coaching them as hard as I'm coaching anybody to give a good look, to get the people that they're going against every day, to get those guys to strain so that on game day they're not surprised. And so there's always that competitive balance, of getting your scout work and also getting the opponent look, getting good on good work. And we've eliminated a period of scout work and have kept it good on good, added a good on good period several weeks ago just to continue to strain and try to get guys better, faster. And but there's a balance of it, and when you go good on good, it's a very competitive environment, and so with that can come potential injuries and things of that nature. And then at the end of the day, you want to get your opponent looked down and things of that nature as well.
Yeah, Brent, what's your general philosophy on mid-season staff changes?
Again, you go back and look at where I've been, I've not been a part of any staff changes in the middle of the season with Bill Snyder, Bob Stoops, or at Clemson with Dabo. And, there's always problems. Sometimes people know about them, sometimes they don't. Now, there's always some level of struggle, and you got to work through your problems, find the best possible solutions. And if you have success, it's everybody. And sometimes when you don't have success, people want to point to one guy. And sometimes it's probably appropriate to blame one person, but most of the time it's not. It's a combination of a lot of things while you're struggling. And so again, you try to put it all together and have a perspective. Not make any, rash decisions based on the information that you have. And at the end of the day, there's nothing easy about any of it. And but I've been a part of those staffs too, where maybe at the end of the year decisions were made, at the end of the year, but nothing midseason.
Yeah, Brent, I'm wondering, at the halfway mark here of the season, is there anything from a scheme or play calling standpoint that you guys can do to maybe help the offense have better production, or is it as simple as you just need to execute what you guys are doing?
Well, again, I know we just need to execute. That's not really satisfying for anybody, and I get that. I look at, again, we got to become more explosive, and we got to make plays that are there. And I go back, is it there? Is they have the best defense against what we're doing every snap, then we got to figure out, better ways to scheme. If we're in good calls against what the defense is presenting, and there are issues with, again, details of what we're doing based on what I know we're coaching them to do, again, where there's got to be some player accountability as well. So I asked the players yesterday, we're going through plays, and I'm like, so did the coach tell you to do this way or not? And like, no, I was told to do it. I said, well, then that's your responsibility. Take that to game day. There's I said, I'll run over your coaches, throw them under the bus all you want me to, if you think that's appropriate, and that you got to be open and honest, and a coach has got to own it when they screw up, and there's plenty of that. And then the players got to have responsibility too. Are you spending the extra time to have your details down when you get in the moment and the game's going fast to be able to, execute at a high level? And again, if that's blocking somebody the right way, if that's running, a route with the right detail, if that's quarterback going through, looking from a progression standpoint, putting his eyes where they need to, trusting what he's seeing, trusting the protection, not getting in a hurry. And as I said earlier, I think right now there's a handful of guys that are playing really fast, which is not a good thing, too fast. And got to have some trust and some patience with some of that. But that's the first thing I look at. I look at it from a lens of, what are we asking them to do? What are they seeing? Are we in a good call, a good structured call versus what we're seeing? And I look for overall efficiency. And I think as far as the efficiency in the plays, I think you look at the analytics, or I think they had successful plays overall in the game. Again, Texas had 24 successful efficiency plays. We had 25. And so I look at that, and I look at the explosive plays. We weren't able to match them with the explosive plays. They had 6, we didn't. They won the turnover battle. They won the rushing total, and part of that was in some of the explosive runs. And then the field position the second half was crap. So we couldn't flip it. And then on third and long and extra long, they were able to convert a few, and we weren't. Our third and medium was not good. Theirs was better than ours, and that's the game. And and so I look at all of it, and again, we had our best game when it comes to consider what we're going against efficiency wise, and in our runs we had against several drives that were started with really successful plays, and we didn't sustain it, obviously, and so that's always a concern. You got to not only move the ball, you need to score and create explosive plays, and we're not doing either of those like we need to right now.
Really good taking care of the football in the passing game, but as you mentioned, some of those opportunities with some of those tighter windows, how do you balance with a really young quarterback being more aggressive in those spots without being reckless and still not taking care of the football?
Well, again, and Mike, for example, in the second half, he had a couple of really nice throws over the middle, tight coverage, bang bang kind of plays. He did that in the first half early. And there's some times when you don't trust it, and that's just part of the maturation. You don't want that. Which you go back and you freeze the picture and you show them what's there, and you develop that through practice and the confidence that comes with it. And everybody's got to be on the same page. And again, you go back and, like I said, you show them the ones that were good, and then you say, hey, these are the ones that are there, and you match them up with maybe what we did in practice. There were 8 plays that Texas was successful with their offense, same formation, same play. And there's 8 of them on defense. We practiced that exact play, that hash, that motion, that formation with that exact call, and we didn't execute. And so you try to show the players that you do that to create affirmation that you're being shown the right things. You got to execute the things that you know are going to be successful when you get on the field. With the call, you're in a good position to be successful. Now you got to go play, and so you find all different types of ways, and then you go back and you put those plays into that next practice too, and you try to build the confidence, continuity, cohesion, the timing, all of those things. By the hey, we're going to go right back at it again. You hit it head on as much as anything. Mm-hmm.
Brent, through 6 games, you've had a chance to see Michael and Jackson 4 games, and they've watched 2 games. And Casey's got a bunch of starts, but you haven't engaged him yet. What's your overall general thought of what you got in the quarterback room, and what do you think of the future of that room at this point?
Yeah, I love what we have in the quarterback room. Incredibly talented group, inexperienced group with, again, the first 2 guys that you mentioned there, but they got great talent, great futures, and we need to be able to play winning football, put them in position to, and help them be successful. And but you completely and totally believe in them, and I trust them, and I believe that, again, they got their head down, they have humility, they got work ethic, they got great leadership qualities, all the things that you want, arm talent, both of them are, to me, the total package, and all their best football still in front of them.
Yeah, Brent, what's your philosophy on playing two quarterbacks during the same game? The old adage is you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 0. But would you ever go like Mike goes this series and Jackson goes this series, or what's your thoughts on that? Well,
I'm certainly not immune to anything, and I know Steve Spurrier did it, for his whole career. But that being said, it'd be great if you had one that you could, get behind and do the things that are necessary in order to win. And so would certainly not put it out of the realm of possibility in the future.
Brent, you talked about the running back room a little bit and how they played against Texas. Maybe through 6 weeks when you've had some good moments, but maybe some struggles generating consistent production in the running back room. Just how do you maybe evaluate where that room is?
Again, I think this was one of our best games. I consider who we're playing. And again, there are several plays that were there. If we hand the ball off, we're going to get substantial yards. And so I put that into, that's not their fault. That's we got to make better decisions, and they're easy decisions. They're not complicated. And but we had again several drive starters that were really, really good, and second down plays that were really good as well. So I think they're doing the things that we've asked of them. We haven't made a lot of second and third level guys miss. Taylor Tatum had a nice run. He had poor footwork on the run and poor angle where he initially started running the football, and then we fumbled the ball after a 10, 12-yard gain there. And that was one of the runs that was probably, despite the fumble, you're most critical of. Hey, we got a better footwork, better angle, better launching point as far as what's the aiming point here? Who are we following? But he made something. He was able to make something out of it until the end. But I thought that was again our best game when it comes to doing the things that we asked them to do.
And you mentioned, Taylor, when you've got a guy that's shown some explosiveness like that, but maybe also shows some areas where he needs to grow as a true freshman, how do you balance maybe trying to get the best of what he showed, but also living
Again,
with?
we put him back in. He's got tremendous talent. And that was, as soon as he fumbled, I said, hey, man, don't bury this guy. And Coach Murray was on the same page. That was those are terrible timing, terrible things to have happen. That's how you lose games. But there's too much talent. He's an incredibly competitive kid. He's tough-minded. He's a guy that bounces back quickly through adversity, and a guy that we completely believe in. Mm-hmm.
Brent, Troy got on the field for the first time really since the Alamo Bowl. Just what did you see from him in his first action back? And
he did some really good things. He's tough. He's competitive. He's a leader. He's a loud leader. One of the loudest guys we got out there. He loves to play, and he did some really good things. Yeah, he'll continue to play more. Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same thing with Deshaun. What did you think of seeing his first action out there on Saturday?
Yeah, it was good. Again, it's been a long time. Last time that he was out there with his teammates was out here on the track field in July, and I'm just saying for back and healthy and those types of things. And so it was good to get him back out there with the guys and get him into a rhythm of how to play. And there were some things that he did was really good and some things to learn from. But we're going to need him.
Brent, given what's kind of the current state of college football and how things are always evolving, with Jackson playing only the 4 games, has there been any discussion about him possibly taking the rest of the year as a redshirt? Or, just maybe he gets in there in case of injury? Has that been discussed at all?
It's been discussed between us. What was told to Jackson, we put you in, it's because we need you to help us go win. And, we're certainly sensitive to everything. We're not sitting here with our head in the sand or naive to what it is. But man, he's a great teammate. He wants to be the starting quarterback at the University of Oklahoma. His focus and his priority is with the team where he is right now. He's practiced extremely well the last couple of weeks. I feel that it's only right to give Mike the opportunity to be the quarterback and to have, again, a body of work, that says he's either is or isn't the right guy. And will he learn from, his past mistakes? Every week is a season of its own. As we know, every opponent's going to present different issues and problems. Every week that you play, offense or defense, the kicking game, there's always a different, there's some DNA that you're going to do that is always going to be the same, things that you can hang your hat on, and then there's always, you got a game plan. And so you want to give guys an opportunity to show how well they can, quickly they can pick up those things and execute them on game day, things of that nature. So, Jackson's been fantastic, all things considered. He's taken it in a really tough-minded way, and he's ready to play. And if he wasn't, he wouldn't still be here every day. And, that would be the same with, we got a handful of receivers. They're dying to play. That, if they can't make it back from a health standpoint, they have every intention of being here. They're at practice every day. Deion's hoping to play this week. He wants to defy all odds and be ready to play this week. And he got up to 80% of his max volume yesterday. And these guys are working relentlessly to put themselves in position to help us this year. But Jackson, like I said, he's he's had a very mature mindset with everything.
John, over to you, the question. Yeah, thank you. Brent, take you back a little bit, something a little bit different.
2005 season, 2009 season, not ideal here for you guys, obviously not the standard. But I happened to be on the field for both of those bowl games at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And that was as happy as I can ever remember seeing you after a game. All right, so you guys made a play to win the game at both those games, and you were jumping around and you were having a good time. Is there any lessons to be drawn from those games for you to impart to this team this year, in that there's a ton of joy, there's coming together as a team, there's all kinds of stuff going on that you can do to have rewards for this season?
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. And it's if it was rewarding for me as a coach, you should ask the players that were a part of it too. Great resource. And I've had several conversations with several guys and other coaches that were a part of those staff. Sometimes when you have to overcome a lot, when things are stacked against you for whatever reason, and it galvanizes you, there's a real improvement. There's a real focused passion and movement that you can, that you can feel and lock arms with, and one series at a time, one quarter at a time, one game at a time, you can feel it just moving, with the purity that you want it to. Let's focus where your feet are. Let's put everything you got into this moment right here, this week, this game. A season of one, a best of one mindset. Win the day. Go 1-0 this week. All those things. And some seasons it's easier to do that than others, and that's always been the challenge of coaching. Can you? Again, success is the worst teacher. Failure is one of the best opportunities to learn, to grow, to teach, and to get guys to buy in, to create humility that sometimes guys need. To earn the respect of what it takes to be successful. It's the smallest things, not the big things. It's the smallest things that all add up, that in the end make a difference, good or bad. And the margin between being successful and not being successful is incredibly small. And so those seasons were a great example of that. And as we know, we had a bunch of freshmen in 2005 had come off of back-to-back appearances in the national championship, and several guys going to the NFL in back-to-back classes, and a lot of youth, a lot of inexperience, a lot of first-time guys. And we had, I think in 2005, we opened the year, lost a 3-point game maybe to TCU, and maybe we were 2-3 to start the year, and then finished with a really good win against University of Oregon. Well, we pick them off on a wheel route, Clint Ingram, and again, an Oregon team that was ranked 6th. That in their mind they were screwed and had to play us in the Holiday Bowl, but they were really an excellent team, and so we beat them in that game. And then 2009, where we lost the opener. I think we lost 3 one-point games, including the opener 14-13 to BYU, and we lost Sam and maybe Trent Williams and Jermaine Gresham, and those are Brody Eldridge, one of our best leaders, and we find a way, and then we come back and we play in the Sun Bowl, and I'm gonna be respectful, but first time in El Paso, great hospitality, and my daughter was born when I wasn't there. I remember it for that. That was one thing. I always take it back to the wins and the losses too, but my daughter Addie was born on a day we were at practice. I was at practice. It was snowing with the sun out, and so I FaceTimed with somebody, one of our close family friends, while I watched and I'm embarrassed to say it too, but she came early. Julie couldn't come on the trip per doctor's orders, and the baby came early, but we won the game. We played early. And Toby Gerhart, a Heisman guy, and a really good Stanford team. Jim Harbaugh, which helps too. It kind of added sweetness to the victory. And we took for that game, and this came from Keenan Clayton. The day after the Stanford was announced for the bowl game, Keenan was our cheetah and a former high school safety. And Keenan was 6'2", 210. But they played a lot of 14 personnel, 4 tight ends and 1 back, or 3 tight ends and 1 back, and personnel groups were really big. And he says, "Hey, Coach, I played safety in high school, at Sulphur Springs down in Texas, and that was a Sunday right after we were announced. And immediately I was like, what would it? Let's take our Sam backers and we put them at safety. Let's take our defensive ends and put them at Sam backers. Let's take our defensive tackles and play them at defensive end. And so we constructed that. We played Gerald McCoy at 5 technique. We played our defensive ends, like Jeremy Beal, we played him at Sam linebacker. And because what Stanford was doing, they were taking 310-pound tight ends or tackles and putting them at tight end in a number 88 jersey and setting edges and destroying people, in the run game in their play passes. And so we did that. We won the game in a really brutal slugfest. But to your point, we had to overcome a lot. And we had to think outside the box. We had to get better as the season went on. Certainly nothing was perfect, but man, it was so pure, so good. And those were 2 of my funnest seasons that I've coached. The 14 season I was at Clemson was the same. We lost our quarterback, our backup quarterback, 5-star quarterback tore his ACL, Deshaun Watson, and we had our 3rd-team quarterback end up playing, in the bowl game, was the MVP. And we were led by a veteran defense. We had 8 seniors and things of that nature, and then finished the way in a non-New Year's Eve bowl game that against a really good opponent. That we're able to win, and you just said, what? I know it wasn't what we wanted ultimately, but man, it was satisfying under the circumstances, and we did the best with what we got. And you always hope that, and. Again, as I've said, when you look at our schedule, there's nothing easy about it, but there's nothing that's on the schedule that says that we can't win every game, and we have to get better. We need to, play to our potential, particularly in the areas where it's most important. And like the defense the other day, we played really well, but we needed to play a little better in the right spots. We needed to tackle a little better. They made some plays. They made an explosive play, a 30-yard play right on the sideline. He tippy-toes. They review it. They gave it to him. That's the game. They fumble in the end zone. If we play a little bit harder all the way through the end, we recover that. That could have changed the whole game. And that was my point bringing it up last night. Where can we be better? And that's what our responsibility is as coaches, to find the places that we can be better, put it in front of the guys, appeal to their voice of reason, get them to buy in, and go right back to work. And to keep the hunger, the humility, the respect for what it takes, not all of us, taking responsibility and go get better. And that's the only way you're going to get better. You're not going to accidentally get better. You're not going to get better by getting rid of everybody that makes mistakes or that aren't playing to their potential or coaching to their potential. You get better by owning it and putting each other in position to be successful, and then going executing and doing the best with what we got. And to me, that's what true courage is despite whatever the result is, you go right back at it. You put everything you got into this moment, into this week. How do you come back after a disappointing loss and all that? To me, it takes real courage. It takes real strong men, and it's got to start with me, and to put everything you got and go right back at it. Don't ignore it and just say, all right, let's just flush it. I don't think that's appropriate. Has there ever been a moment where you've had a disgusting moment? Hey, let's flush this and move on. Yeah, not this year. And too much to learn from too many guys that haven't been there, done that, and that this is a great opportunity to teach and grow, and that's the vision that you have. And let's see where we're at the end of the year, and you hope to be able to do exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
With all the injuries in the receivers room, you talked about needing guys to step up. How encouraging was it from a developmental standpoint to see Zion Kearney take some strides in the Texas game?
Yeah, I think he had 5 catches, 3 of them were first down. It's great, and again, that's after having done some good things in the last outing as well, and he's been showing the progress at practice. He's actually really showing up in the special teams as well. And that's a challenge. I challenge a lot of guys. Hey, look, the more you earn your way on special teams, it will bleed over into what you're doing, at your position on offense or defense. And so value your role, make the most of your role, make the most of your opportunity. And he's done that, and you see real growth and improvement. Ivan Carrion got in there, made a catch in there late. And again, Raggins, he's tough as all get out. He's going to make the improvement. It's there, and he's got to get a little more detailed. He's had some real opportunities, and I really expect him to capitalize on that because he's tough. He's a hard worker. He really cares, and he's got to get a little bit more detailed. But a lot of those young guys, we're counting on.
Third row, James.
Coach, South Carolina's played some really close games, really good opponents.
Yeah.
What are you seeing from them on film? Some of the tendencies that they have.
Well, again, going into the year, I think, I said that at some point in time that I felt they were one of the more undervalued teams, looking at the teams that were on our schedule based on what they had coming back, what they had recruited, where they were as a football team coming out of the spring. And then I know they had a rough start in their opener against ODU, but other than that, man, they've played really well. They went on a year ago. They weren't great on the road, and in 2 games this year at both Kentucky and at University of Alabama, they gave themselves a chance to win. They got after Kentucky really good. Played a good Kentucky team, a Kentucky team that beat Ole Miss 2 weeks ago and also took Georgia all the way to the wire. Should have won that game, 1-point game against the University of Georgia. And I know Kentucky feels going into this year they have a really good team. So Shane's done a really good job. Their staff, they've done a really good job. They've recruited at a very high level, having gone against them and South Carolina, other coaches and Shane as well. That's a place that's always been able to recruit well. The Carolinas is a fantastic part of the country where the kids don't usually go a long way away from home. They've got a lot to offer, both in the people that are there in Columbia, and certainly they've got fantastic facilities, great fan base, a very passionate fan base. They're going to show up every week, and they've done a nice job. They've got 37 seniors, which is the second most in all of college football. They've got I think they have 6 sixth-year players on their defense, 6 sixth-year guys, and several of them are just the backups. And but they've got great experience. That's the best defense that I've seen them have since I've followed them closely. So for well over a decade, they're really good. They're fast, they're long, they're explosive, they're disruptive, and they're deep. And so they're playing at a really high level defensively. Again, they outgained Alabama in Tuscaloosa, lost in overtime 27-25, outgained them by 61 yards. A team that just a couple of weeks ago was the number 1 team in the nation, right? Weren't they? And they had 4 sacks, 9 tackles for loss against a bunch of highly regarded offensive linemen, backs and tight ends. So I know people were quick to blame, and justifiably so. We can't block nobody, we can't run it, and we're doing this and all those things. Well, Alabama just did it too, and they got really good players, but they're also getting production from their young players, and so they're doing a really good job. Now they've rushed for more yards. Like a year ago, they were not very good on offense, very uneven, they weren't cohesive at all a year ago, and they've improved as the year has gone on. That's what I've watched, and I always take an opportunity to watch the people that we're going to play at different times. Just take a quick sneak peek. There's a lot of quick ways to be able to do that, but they've already rushed for more yards this year than they did total for last year. So they're getting, they got Rocket Sanders is a really good player that they got in the portal that's gotten better from Arkansas. That's gotten better as the season's gone on. They've got good depth there at running back, and then the quarterback. He can take it to the house at any point in time. He's a legit 4'4" guy. He's 6'3". He's 230 pounds. He's strong. He can run through trash. They have quarterback design plays, and then he can improvise when things break down. He makes a lot of plays on the perimeter with his eyes down the field. Has created explosive plays by doing so. They've recruited well, at tight end, at receiver. They've got some guys that can really go there. They have started all 5 of the same offensive linemen in all 6 games this year with 179 career starts. Several of them had to get baptized a year ago, freshmen that are now playing in their second or third year. And then they've recruited well in the portal as well. And again, they have 8 starters coming back on defense. They actually, again, as a team, they didn't play great against Ole Miss, but they held Ole Miss in check offensively. And again, their defense did the same. Again, 27 points each, which is really good considering those two offenses and how explosive they are. They have forced 12 turnovers on defense, which ranks second in the conference and 12th nationally. And but they've also given up a bunch of turnovers and are tied. I believe their 8 fumbles are tied for the most in the country. They've played. Overall, the efficiency about middle of the pack in special teams, but since 21, they've blocked 16 kicks, which leads the country. And their punter, Kai Kroger, is averaging a SEC high 48 yards a punt. He's also thrown it. Over the last several years, has completed 7 out of 8 fakes, and so it's really, really talented. And then they're 8 out of 12 in their kicking game with a long of 46. And but I really like Sellers. He's a tough guy. The players really follow him. He's playing at a better level this week than he was, at the beginning of the year. And just again, as I said, watched him get better and better as the season has gone along. So there ain't no gimmies in this conference, and certainly on the schedule. We're going to have to play well. We're going to have to play better in all the areas that we've already talked about. This is a team that, they're very similar to us in a lot of spaces if you looked at it on paper. And this is a really talented group that will be coming in here this weekend.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Thanks.